Some years ago, a message began to appear across the city of Baltimore. It was plastered on banners and on billboards everywhere. Just one word: believe. It was a citywide ad campaign, an effort to raise the spirits of a community struggling with drugs and crime. Well, perhaps no one believed in Baltimore as much as Elijah Cummings. He was born there, the son of sharecroppers, one of 7 children. As a boy, he thrust himself into the city's battle over civil rights. He helped integrate a Baltimore swimming pool while being attacked with rocks and bottles. He was 11 years old at that time. Cummings would dedicate himself to a life of public service, serving in the Maryland House of Delegates, eventually becoming the first black speaker pro tem. He became a congressman after a special election in 1996. It would be a position he'd hold the rest of his life, becoming one of the most powerful members of the House, the chair of the House Oversight Committee. And by the way, I think he was in line to be a Speaker of the House someday. He was a peacemaker, always saw the best in people, even when they didn't see it in themselves, which made friends across the aisle, even when they rarely agreed. But Elijah Cummings always stayed true to Baltimore. He always believed, especially in its difficult days, like during the 2015 riots in the wake of the death of Freddie Gray. With bullhorn in hand, he walked through the streets, calling for peace.
I said that as we approach the evening of our lives, many of us, we want to make sure that our children have a better morning.
Baltimore's native son, Elijah Cummings, was 68. Hello, YouTubers. If you're watching this, it means you've checked out our channel, so thank you. Now do me a favor, subscribe by clicking on that button down there. Click on any of the videos to watch the latest interviews and highlights from MTP Daily and MSNBC. You can get more Meet the Press content every morning in the First Read newsletter. If you're tired of content that you don't know anything about where it came from, you don't have to have that problem with us. NBC News, MSNBC, MTP, and the Meet the Press mindset right here for you on YouTube. Subscribe now.